Hi guys, welcome to my part 2 of my horror film collection, and I'm going to get right to it. We have Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and Freddy vs. Jason. I have watched all of these except for Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I did start to watch it, but I just got terribly bored with it, so I just stopped. And I thought Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, was going to be the same, but the last three Freddy films are really terrific, especially Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason. Those were terrific films. Um, this is really the sequels to have these last three. I can't. Last three. Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I don't know. I couldn't watch it. I got so terribly bored with it, but maybe you'll like it more. Hannibal. I've done a review for this film already. It's technically a sequel to Silence of the Lambs, only Ridley Scott, the director, doesn't think of it as a sequel, but it's the movie after Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs, Jonathan Demme directs, Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, Scott Glenn. You know, the second Hannibal Lecter film, the first one being Manhunter, the last one being Red Dragon. This is a great movie. It won Best Picture in 1991, and it's a great film. You're going to love this movie if you haven't seen it yet. It's really terrific. The Fog. I have not watched this yet, really, because I haven't had a lot of time to watch it. I've heard it wasn't that good, but a lot of my friends said that it was pretty decent. I mean, they haven't seen the original one, so it's a lot of my friends don't watch a lot of these old horror films, but it it should be good. I haven't seen it yet. Plan 9 from Outer Space. I don't know if I technically count this as a horror film, more of a cheaply made sci-fi, but it's still technically a horror film. Doesn't scare me. I laugh at it. Pretty obvious. Piranha. Recently did a review on this. Roger Corman's cult classic with Barbara Steele, Richard Deakins in it, who was on Leave It to Beaver, and he had a small cameo in The Birds. Check this out if you like Jaws. The Curse of Frankenstein. This is a Hammer film, and this is the first Frankenstein film in the Hammer series. And this is a really good film. It's directed by Terence Fisher, with Christopher Lee as the Doctor and Peter Cushing as the Doctor, and Christopher Lee as the monster. This is the only Frankenstein film where Christopher Lee was the monster. The next one, Frankenstein's Revenge, is like a more of a human-like character. And Hammer Films really did start up horror again. These movies really did terrify people back then. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe now, but back then they really terrified people. I believe this one was made after Horror of Dracula. I believe so, but it was made around the same time. But it's still, need to check out. John Carpenter's The Fog, made this after Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis and Janet Leigh are in it. Adrienne Barbeau. Again, it was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. This is a great film. It didn't nearly get the success it did when Halloween came out, when it first came out. This does have the girl who plays Annie in Halloween. I can't remember her name right now, but she's in it. And this is just a great film. It doesn't really frighten me, but it's pretty decent. Night of the Living Dead. I started to watch this, but I personally got really bored with it. And George A. Romero wrote it, and it was directed by Tom Savini. I got really bored with it. Um, I did. I started it and I didn't finish it, but then I eventually did finish it. It's decent, I'll give it that, but it doesn't live up to the original. Last House on the Left, a remake of Wes Craven's masterpiece from 74, or 72, pardon me. And this really is a sequel that lives up to the original. You will love this if you love the original. This is almost, I would consider it, almost better than the original. Dawn of the Dead. This is the R-rated version. A remake of George A. Romero's classic from 78. I have not seen the original one yet. That is the only zombie film of his I have not seen yet. This film, I believe George A. Romero was not even involved with it, but it's a decent movie. It was pretty scary the first time I saw it. If you like zombie films, see it if you haven't seen it already. The original Last House on the Left, Wes Craven's classic, produced by Sean S. Cunningham. It's, pretty good. I did a review on it. If you want to know more about it, watch the review. 28 Days Later. This is a terrific zombie film. I was completely blown away when I first saw this. It is hailed as the most frightening film since The Exorcist, but I don't know. I have not seen 28 Weeks Later. I've heard it's pretty good, but I'll have to judge that for myself when I see it. The Shining. Everybody's seen The Shining, and if you for some reason haven't watched my review, I talk about it. The Hills Have Eyes, unrated. Again, I did a review on this one. Watch it as well. Hills Have Eyes 2. Definitely is not as good as the remake. Don't watch it, it's terrible. The Howling. This is a terrific werewolf film. It features Dee Wallace, who was in E.T. and Stephen King's Cujo, directed by Joe Dante, who directed The Gremlins and Piranha. This has Patrick Macnee in it. You might remember him. Dennis Dugan is in it, and he was involved with Big Daddy, I believe. Slim Pickens is in it, and you'll remember him from Blazing Saddles. He was in Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. John Carradine is in it, and he was in some of those old 40s Universal horror films, and he was Mr. Gateman on the Monsters. I mean, watch this. It's the first werewolf movie to actually see. They actually let you see the werewolf being transformed. It's pretty scary. The Psycho sequels. Psycho 2. I'll talk about these individually. Psycho 2 is the best sequel out of these three. That one was really the one that had the best potential for a sequel, because Norman Bates comes back and he has, he keeps having recollections of his mother, and there's a killer going around and you don't know who it is, and that's pretty good. Psycho 3, Anthony Perkins, or aka Norman Bates, is the killer, so that's really just a slasher film with a twist to it. Psycho 4, they didn't even release it in the theaters. It was a TV movie, and it's decent. It features Olivia Hussey, and she was in the Romeo and Juliet. Henry Thomas is in it from E.T. And again, Anthony Perkins returns. It was a decent film. It was written by Joseph Stefano, who wrote the original Psycho. Psycho 3 was directed by Anthony Perkins, and all of these films feature the involvement of Hilton A. Green, and he was the I believe, assistant director or unit manager on Psycho. But now these are the horror films that I own on tape. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I did a review on this film. It's really good. It's not as good as the original, but still, it's pretty good. George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. This is a terrific film. It scared me the first time I saw it, especially the original one. Check this out if you love zombie films. Rosemary's Baby. I don't know if I would consider this as a horror film. It's more of either, I would say, a psychological thriller or maybe a drama with a twist to it. It was produced by William Castle, who was involved with The Tingler, Straight Jacket, House on Haunted Hill, directed by Roman Polanski, and written for the screen. Features Ralph Bellamy, and you might remember him from some old Universal horror. This is a pretty good film, not my favorite, but decent. Psycho, I do own this on DVD, but it's put away. I can't necessarily find it. Check this out. Everybody's seen Psycho. The Legend of Hell House. This is just one of them cheap 73 made sequels that features Roddy McDowall. You might remember him from Poseidon Adventure. I can't really say a lot about this. It's pretty pointless. You'd have to watch it yourself. Dreamcatcher. I have not seen this yet because a lot of people say this is a terrible film. So I have not watched it yet. I want to watch it later. Has Morgan Freeman in it. It should be pretty good. Hills Have Eyes Part 2. I did a review on this one. A lot of people say this is a bad movie, but I think it's pretty good. I didn't think it was terrible. Check it out if you like these films. I do have more DVDs, but I'm running low on time, so I will come back with part 3 of my horror film collection.